Hey there, and thank you for subscribing to everyone that subscribed, and to the people that viewed my video and shared the link. Thank you so much. I'm very excited to continue on with the series, which has been aptly named The Bright Side of Teaching. Today, what we're going to talk about is how to build a healthy and professional connection and relationship with your students. The biggest part of having a successful program or class is getting your students to buy into what you're doing and having those students grow into their own people. So we're going to talk about how you build that in a professional manner, especially with all the obstacles we have to hop over these days. So first thing, some students are going to need to hear that you care about them, but we'll talk more about that at the very end. We're going to talk about the indirect ways that you build these relationships first. First, you have to show your students that you know and you care about your content. So if you're a music person, which most of you are, you have to show them that you care about music. Why did you get into the profession? Why are you a director or a private teacher? Once they see that you're compassionate about what you're doing, then they will start to respect you and grow passion for the content as well. If you discipline them and you hold them accountable, they will eventually come around. You're not going to get anything accomplished if you become the cool guy or girl, the cool teacher, if you will. If you let them get away with everything under the sun because you want to be cool best friends with them. You will have a few kids that will push back and they'll quit, and you'll try your best to keep them engaged and retain them, but sometimes you're just not going to be able to do that. Your focus is on the kids that will buy in down the road. You want to try and give every student a chance to succeed, but that's not always going to be the case. So, holding them accountable. Kids want to succeed. You'll hear me say that a lot. Kids want to succeed. Everyone wants to succeed. If you hold them accountable and show them the right way of doing it, they will come around to you. Social media shout-outs. We talked about that a little bit in the last video. In-class compliments, emails home, phone calls home, texts home, reminds home to the parents. Those go a long way. Use the child's name whenever you can. Who doesn't like hearing their name, especially when it goes along with a compliment? So if Johnny is doing really, really well on his scales, don't just say, "Hey, good job." Say, "Hey, Johnny, good job." This small detail goes a long way, but I promise you it will make you more personable with that student. Now, getting into the harder stuff. Always make yourself available to your students within class time, within reason. You're not going to dedicate 24/7. You have to have your own personal life, but be a listener and sometimes a borderline counselor when your students need it. Now, when I say that, don't become a full-time counselor. That is not what we are trained to do. If a student needs something more than just a friendly ear to listen to, you need to refer them to their school counselor or whomever to get them help. But if you're not prepared to have a student come sit down in your office or in a private lesson and vent and talk about all the stuff that's going wrong, you need to figure out how to get there before you go into this profession. Listen, that's the big thing. Sometimes you can give advice. Sometimes the students want to hear your advice or hear that you've experienced something similar, but most of the time they just want someone to listen to them and hear them out. They don't get that all the time. On a less serious note, the two best ways to build connections with students, okay? First one, greet every student whenever you see them. If it's coming into the classroom, if it's in the hallway, if it's out on the street or a restaurant, say hello to them. Don't snuff them. Don't just kind of nod your head. Again, say their name. Say, "Hey, how are you doing?" And then ask, "Our class is going well." Something simple like that. Goes a long way. The second thing you can do, and this is geared more towards the teachers that don't have families yet, because family life gets very, very tricky to balance. But anytime you can, go to these students' extracurriculars. If it's a concert that's not required by you, go to their concert. Go to the musical that they're starring in. If they have sports that they play, go to their games. Anything that you get invited to, try your best to go, or at least tell them, hey, I'm not going to be able to make it. The children love to see that you support them outside of what you are doing. I've had a lot of students invite me to basketball games, football games, even like lacrosse and soccer, and going to those so that, you want them to succeed in music, but you want them to succeed as people. And that kind of goes along with checking their grades and asking how they're doing in school. Lastly, you have to care about the entire individual. That is making sure they're doing well in school, making sure they're doing well in extracurriculars, making sure they're doing well physically and mentally. The students will talk to each other, and they'll talk about their experiences with you. Don't turn away any kids because you're not in the mood to listen to them. For two reasons. One, you don't know how that's going to affect the kid that is talking to you right now. That student might need you in that moment more than you could ever imagine. You may never know that or not. But then also, if you turn away a student, they will talk, and it will become something where the students don't think that you care about them, that you don't want to hear them out, that you won't be there for them. In the worst case scenario, sometimes it's, just put by the wayside, but you don't want to ever have the reputation that you don't have the time for students when they need you. So wrapping up, sometimes students do need to hear that you care about them. You don't have to go out of your way to try and change their world. You don't have to tell them exactly how this is going to make the hugest difference in their life. But sometimes you are going to have to say, hey, give them a fist bump. Hey, I got your back. It goes a long way. The students are always watching you. They're modeling themselves after you. And they're watching the way you react to things and how you carry yourself. So if you're trying to build a culture, which is a video that will be coming up soon, very important on how to build a program. If you're trying to build a culture, you have to be the type of person that you want your students to become. Don't be late. Don't be disorganized. Don't be disinterested. Don't be the first one out the door when class is over. Stick behind, and listen, and just, talk to the kids. How's your day? Oh, how's school today? Cool. Or when they're leaving, hey, see you, Johnny. Have a good weekend. You don't know which kids don't hear that enough. The worst case scenario is you tell a student too much. Do the right thing. Be a good person. And if you do that and you care about your content and you know what you're doing, you're going to be a great teacher. It's as simple as that. So thank you again to everyone that subscribed and everyone that watched the videos. Share this with your friends. I'll be making a saxophone specific video soon about how to teach your beginners. Everything you need to know about that just before they even play the first note. So again, like, subscribe, comment any questions or topics that you'd like to hear me talk about. And hopefully we'll get this ball rolling. Thank you so much.